Dear students, welcome to our English class of Standard 10th. Today we will be doing the poem All the World's a Stage by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, also known as Bard of Avon or Swan of Avon, English poet, dramatist and actor, often called the English national poet, and considered by many to be the greatest dramatist of all time. The exact number of Shakespeare's plays, as well as their classifications as tragedy, history, or comedy, is a matter of scholarly debate. Shakespeare's plays are widely regarded as being among the greatest in the English language and are continually performed around the world. The plays have been translated into every major living language. Shakespeare's plays portray recognizable people in situations that we can all relate, including love, marriage, death, mourning, guilt, the need to make difficult choices, separation, reunion, and reconciliation. They do so with great humanity, tolerance, and wisdom. They help us to understand what it is to be human and to cope with the problems of being so. Other poets such as Homer and Dante, and novelists such as Leo Tolstoy and Charles Dickens have transcended national barriers, but no writer's living reputation can compare to that of Shakespeare, whose plays, written in the late 16th and 17th centuries for a small repertory theatre, are now performed and read more often and in more countries than ever before. The prophecy of his great contemporary, the poet and dramatist Ben Jonson, that Shakespeare was not of an age, but for all time, has been fulfilled. Let's begin with the poem All the World's a Stage. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy, with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation. Even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice, in fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. The most famous speech in As You Like It is The 7 Ages of Man. Jack, the character in As You Like It, delivers the 7 Ages of Man speech in when the banished Duke comments on the human situation in Act 2, Scene 7. In this monologue, Jack starts by explaining that all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players, then goes on to describe these 7 stages of life that men go through in some detail. All the world's a stage. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. Jack, all the world's a stage speech, acts as a sort of microcosm of As You Like It, arguing that life is one big performance and that theatre and illusion are both noble arts and somehow transcend the literal stage. We play many parts in our lives, just as actors play fictional roles on stage. Shakespeare, being an actor who had become playwright and shareholder in the theatre, knew theatre through and through. Jack begins by describing our infancy and school days. The infant, mewling and puking in nurse's arms, grows into the whining schoolboy with a satchel. This is where his formal education starts, but he is not entirely happy with school. His mother is ambitious for him and has washed his face thoroughly before sending him off to school, but he goes very slowly and reluctantly. The whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like snail unwillingly to school. He then takes us through the other 5 stages. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Next, we have the lover falling head over heels in love, feeling the passion of love like a furnace, sighing like a furnace, succinctly captures both the lovelorn sights of the frustrated lover pining away for a beloved and the young passion of a man desperate to act on his love, with the augural image of the furnace, sighing, capturing both senses while also suggesting the plaintive singing of a serenade or love song for his mistress or sweetheart. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the bard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. Then we have the soldier, the man going off to fight for king or queen and country or to earn a living through military service while he is still young and strong. Until relatively recently, most generations of men would have faced the prospect of military combat. The generation who fought in the First World War had children who grew up to fight in the Second World War as recently as the 20th century. In the Elizabethan era, when Shakespeare was writing As You Like It, there were military campaigns in Ireland against France and against Spain. Being a soldier was not just a possible career option, but something that men of fighting age might be drafted into under the law. Note that the young lover, now he has turned into this very soldier, has grown a beard that resembles the face of a pard, that is, leopard. The image of the bubble and the cannon's mouth is another ingenious piece of compacted imagery. Imagine a human or animal mouth blowing a bubble, and then imagine a soldier staring down the mouth of a live cannon that could blow his head clean off. The soldier seeks glory and a reputation as a soldier even in the face of danger and possible death. And then the justice. In fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise sauce and modern instances, and so he plays his part. After his career as a soldier, the next in the 7 ages of a man is the part of the judge, magistrate, or justice. Middle age spread has taken its toll, and the lean soldier has filled out with a fair round belly, filled with good food. The soldier's wider beard has become more neatly trimmed and formal as the older man, now a justice, sitting on magistrates' panels and dispensing verdicts, assumes a formal role as lawmaker and lawgiver. Wise saws are wise sayings or moral wisdom, while modern instances are recent examples or arguments which might be used as part of a legal case. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful horse, well saved a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice, turning again to a childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Once the man has played the part of justice, he effectively becomes retired, slipping into comfortable clothes. The hose or trousers the man wore as a young man are now too loose because he has become wizened and emaciated with age. The deep, big, manly voice the man had in his prime has become like a childish treble that is more high pitched with the onset of old age. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. And finally, the last of the 7 ages of man, full on second childishness, as weak, helpless and dependent on others, as he was when he was a very small child, and then mere oblivion, that is death, as everything fades. The very old man loses his teeth, his eyesight, his ability to taste food, and finally sans everything. The poem is written in blank verse, that is, there is no rhyme scheme, but there is a steady rhythm of 5 beats. Shakespeare makes use of several literary devices in the speech. Some are as follows. We see a very strong presence of metaphor. The entire poem, in fact, is an extended metaphor, where there is indirect comparison between two objects. For example, all the world's a stage. They have their exits and entrances, seeking the bubble reputation. Then we see letters being repeated in the line, and all the men and women are merely players, where the letters A and M are repeated for a poetic effect. We also see an example of inversion in the line, and one man in his time plays many parts. The correct prose order is and one man plays many parts in his time. We see 3 examples of simile in the lines like creeping like a snake, sighing like furnace, bearded like the bard. We see the presence of sound in the lines mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, sighing like furnace. So the words mewling, puking and sighing denote a sound. Also, a very strong example of transferred epithet is sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad. We further see an example of personification in the line even in the cannon's where cannon is given the human quality of having a mouth. Another example of inversion in the line with eyes severe and beard of formal cut. The correct prose order is with severe eyes and beard of formal cut. Another example of transferred epithet appears here in the line, his youthful horse well saved a world too wide. Here, the adjective youthful has been transferred from the old man to the horse. We see an example of alliteration where the letters S and H are repeated. And whistles in a sound denotes the figure of speech onomatopoeia, as the sound whistles denotes a sound. Then we see the word sans repeated 4 times in the last line, which shows the presence of the figure of speech repetition. Dear students, in All the World's a Stage, Shakespeare creates a somber and depressing mood through the simple breakdown of life, success, love, and death. The beauties of life are compiled into a short monologue that's over almost as soon as it began. With this, the reader is left to consider their own life, what stage they are in now. The speaker knows that this is the way the world is. Everyone listening to his words is all going to end up back where they started as children, and there's no way to change that fact. That's all for today's class. Thanks for watching.